Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the banks of the Scenic Monocacy River for the simultaneous grand opening of the Attack on Washington Last Invasion Civil War Trail, as well as the Monocacy Scenic River Water Trail. And what a nice day we have for this time of year for our program. I'm John Fieser, Executive Director of the Tourism Council of Frederick County, and very excited to be here as we have been working with our great partners in the Civil War Trails program and the Maryland Office of Tourism for the past dozen years or more on developing these trails to have this in place. And then for my colleagues that work at the Frederick Visitor Center and answer questions about folks that are interested in the Monocacy River, if they want to canoe it, where can you put in, those kinds of things. The water trail is just a wonderful tool for us to have. So exciting to have both these new products for us promoting tourism. Before I introduce some other folks, let me quickly ask my colleagues at the Tourism Council of Frederick County, just wave your hand. Have several of them here and appreciate your help. We do have a number of elected officials that have joined us this morning. You'll be hearing from a couple of those. So I'll introduce those first, even though they'll be back in just a moment. But fresh from primary victories, Chairman of the Frederick County Delegation, Kelly Schultz, Delegate Schultz. And also, right off the primary, from the Board of County Commissioners, Billy Shreve. We're pleased to be joined by the Mayor of the City of Frederick, Mayor Randy McClement. And you know, it was the very same day that the battle would be fought on this ground that the city of Frederick was ransomed for $200,000, which they paid. We're very appreciative of that at Tourism because we have our historic city to promote since they came up with that $200,000. But a number of special activities to commemorate both that and, of course, here at the battlefield that you'll be hearing about in the next couple of weeks. From the city of Brunswick, Councilman Walt Stull is with us. Thank you, Walt. And I do want to mention that all three of the elected officials that serve on my board of directors, Billy, Mayor Randy, and Walt, are all here today. So thank you guys for joining us. A couple of colleagues want to mention the tourism director in Carroll County, Bonnie Staub, is here. Thanks for coming, Bonnie. With the three-county Heart of the Civil War Heritage Area that Liz Chateau is the director of, we work regularly with Carroll and Washington County. But also happy to see that one of her predecessors, Barb Beverungen, has joined us as well. So Barb was in the trenches when we did the very first trails that came through here following the Antietam campaign and the Gettysburg campaign 11, 12 years ago, hard to believe. So thanks. And then from Washington County, where we're waiting to hear about a new director being named, a new president, we have a couple of the key staff folks there that really keep the place running. Jolene Thomas and Betsy DeVore, thank you ladies for joining us. And last but certainly not least, I want to give a shout out to Mitch Bowman, who heads up the Civil War Trails program, stretching all the way from Gettysburg down to North Carolina, out through Tennessee. 1,400 markers now in that system. And the ones that we have added to this trail are just the latest to a wonderful system that makes it so easy for our visitors to come around and learn these stories as they stand in the very landscape where they happen. So let me ask you all to please stand, and we will say the Pledge of Allegiance to get our program underway. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. So here to offer a welcome from this beautiful facility that is hosting us today, let me introduce the Superintendent of Monocacy National Battlefield, Rick Slade.
Thanks, John. Thanks, everybody. Good to be surrounded by so many friends and partners here, and want to welcome you to Monocacy National Battlefield. For those of you who haven't been here, I always ask, has anyone not been to the park? Everyone's pretty much stepped foot one way or another, or at least driven through. Can't help but drive through. So I'm assuming we've all been here, but I'll just give you a quick and dirty, just the quick history. So as John mentioned, in 2 weeks we actually have our sesquicentennial. So 150 years ago, on actually 2 weeks from today, July 9th, a battle took place, essentially here on this ground, but also behind us. The two bridges that you can see figured prominently in the battle. So the sort of big picture, it was 1864. The war was more or less winding down. Although a lot of Americans were losing really their taste for war, so there was questions as to how long it would drag on. But the North had essentially put the South, pinned them in down in Richmond near the capital. But Lee, one of his amazing stratagems, decided to send 15,000 troops up the Shenandoah Valley and really wage what was a surprise attack on Washington, D.C. And they pretty much proceeded unhindered or fairly smoothly all the way up through Harper's Ferry, and then were planning to come down through Frederick. They ransomed Frederick, Middletown in the process. And there happened to be a set of Union troops set up here, mostly to protect the railroad. The junction over there was an important railroad point in the railroad system. And so Union happened to have troops here. They had pulled in some last-minute reinforcements, but there were still only about 6,000 troops facing 15,000 Confederates. So they put up a very brave, staunch defense, held off the Confederates for an entire day, and in essence what that did was it gave the Union time, number one, to recognize that it was a sizable force that was potentially going to come into Washington, but also time to pull up some reinforcements from Richmond. So because of how that played out historically, this has become known as the battle that saved Washington, which I think is something we can all more or less be proud of. Anyway, so anyway, I just real quick just want to thank the tourism folks for selecting this site, that Hannah and Marcy and Margot for choosing the battlefield here. It's timely with our 150th coming up, but I think it's also sort of the perfect convergence of the two openings that we're celebrating, the Monocacy Scenic River Water Trail and also the 1864 Civil War Trail. So they both more or less flow through here. We're very conveniently stationed right at our stop on the Scenic River Water Trail, and I just want to throw in, we're doing sort of a third opening, which is really the grand opening of our humble little river access point. I call it context-sensitive design. You might call it slapdash, but it serves its purpose, and it's already survived two sizable flood events. So whatever the reason and the rationale, it seems to be working pretty well. So we're really excited about that. And really that just kind of gets to the bigger picture of why I think I'm so excited that we're doing this and why we're part of this. For this park, it's been about 20 years that we've really had a park. And it takes a while to get things up and running. It took a while to get land. It took a while to get staff. It certainly took a while to get the visitor center that just opened in 2007. But along with that, there was a lot of historic structures. There's landscape issues. There's trail planning. So 20 years essentially in the making, this park is, I finally feel, a fixture. So the facility is here. It's wonderful. For those of you that have, even if you've just driven through it, you can't help but be impressed by the best landscape as you're going down 355. If you look quickly going up 270, you catch a look at Thomas Farm, which is, I think, even at that quick glimpse, your eyes are drawn to it, and you're thinking, wow, that's a special place. So we have this special place, but what we don't have, I think, is sort of broad recognition of the public of just how wonderful this place is, the historical significance of this place, the obvious tie we have to Frederick and all the wonderful resources here. So for us, as we bring people here today, but also through our 150th, I'm really looking at this as a sort of a grand opening of the park and really an opportunity to get the word out and start to bring people here. And I think not just at the park level, but really at a national level, the Secretary of the Interior has spoken to this fact, the Director of the Park Service has spoken to this fact. We can't just expect people to come to parks on our terms. We have to create opportunities that attract a variety of people. So for me, having this water trail, having the Civil War trail, having the 1864 trail, it's an opportunity to bring people who otherwise wouldn't come here to the park and give them an opportunity to get to know it, support it, ensure that it's preserved for the future. So really good confluence of events, really good partners. Ever since I've stepped foot on this park, I've had nothing but welcome from the partners and people looking for opportunities to do things that mutually benefit us. I told someone at one point, the interesting thing about tourism is it's not a zero-sum game. It's really a game where everybody can win and keep winning the more that we partner. So just want to conclude with that thought that this is the beginning for us of, I hope, a long and fruitful partnership with a number of people here in the room. And I'll turn it over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick, and we certainly concur. You know, between the land and holdings of the National Park Service, as well as within the state of Maryland, Department of Natural Resources, our parks also contain a tremendous number of historic sites. Years ago, it would be said that the folks that came for outdoor recreation, you know, they would come with $20 in their pocket, go home with $20 in their pocket. They had a great time, but did it make sense to spend tourism dollars trying to court them? Of course, then we saw the heritage traveler that was increasingly coming around visiting historic sites. Well, so much today they overlap. They are the same people. And to have an opportunity like today where we're simultaneously opening up more historic interpretation as well as easier access to the outdoor recreation, it's a beautiful thing. So, and what a perfect introduction to our next speaker. I mentioned earlier that Commissioner Billy Shreve serves as the liaison to the Tourism Council of Frederick County. He's also liaison to our Frederick County Parks and Rec. And I'll ask him to come forward now.
Wow, this thing's really high. How's that?
That works.
All right, let's get rid of that. All right. I'm almost good now. Thank you all for coming out today. You know, I consider the Monocacy battlefield my home because I grew up here. Right on the other side of the railroad tracks, on the other side of the bridge, one of my good friends I grew up with owned 600 acres, most of it still under historic easement. So I grew up here every day, you know, in the summer. The first rite of passage at the end of the school day was to jump in the river. So that was the cleansing, get all that, you know, inside stuff out of our brains and get into the great outdoors. One of my fondest memories is doing that one day. We decided to explore the river a little bit, and I ended up on the south side of Buckystown. So having having started at 4 o'clock, my friend Patrick Shoemaker and I discovered that, you know, it's easy to go downstream. It's pretty hard to get back home. So after trying to wade upstream for about, you know, maybe 3 minutes, we decided to hitchhike home. So in 8th grade, our parents weren't really happy with us. So every day in the summer, this was my ritual. I would get up, I would go to my friend's house, we'd grab a old antifreeze bottle, fill it with gas, and strap it onto the back of our motorcycles. The 1,000-acre battlefield were all farms that our friends owned. So we'd explore all the battlefields all summer, every day. I rode my motorcycle from here, literally here, to Martinsburg, West Virginia on the railroad tracks, and as far south as Mount Airy. So over my life, I've discovered many of these monuments that are now public. For me, they were just grown up, just like in the middle of this field. So as kids, you know, you discover this monument in the middle of nowhere. It's like, you know, you're Indiana Jones. It's the greatest thing ever. So as I got older, I took my travels, you know, all over the world. I've discovered lots of things in the Yucatan Peninsula, the Andes, and my favorite was the Cave of Canterbury in the Scottish Highlands. That's the cave where the killer rabbit came out in the Monty Python movie. So I discovered that. And that's not marked. You have to actually get a map, and from the DVD, we pieced together the approximate location and found it. So I've loved exploring. So today, I'm still an explorer, and my favorite place to explore is right here. Every fall, I can't wait for the leaves to fall off the trees. I get on my motorcycle again, get on my four-wheeler, never ride on the national park property. But there is a great story about that. Right after the national park became a national park, apparently there were some people sneaking onto the park and hunting at night. So, you know, from the access point of the road is about 2 miles back to where I hunt. So I'm coming out at dark, and, you know, I'm driving like I'm Bo and Luke Duke in my truck along the railroad tracks. And I come around this corner, and there are 3 National Park Service cars blocking me in. So first I think I'm hallucinating because no one comes back here. And then after they searched my truck, I realized there was a national park now. But I wasn't on the park property. So anyway, so every fall when the leaves fall off the tree, I get my motorcycle out and I begin exploring again. So this year I discovered three things that were pretty significant to me. I discovered this huge swamp, and I realized it as I was going through it on my motorcycle, and my motorcycle kept sinking more and more and more. And then finally I looked back, and the guy that was riding with me had buried his motorcycle. So we discovered a swamp. We discovered a graveyard from the 1700s, which is really cool. Discovered two more war memorials way far away from here. But my most significant discovery was a old homestead. I'm thinking from the late 1700s, early 1800s, that overlooks one of the historic mills. And Rick and I were talking about it earlier. So I'm just beginning my research. I hope that someday we can create another map, another trail, a walking trail to all these different sites that really just follow the railroad tracks, because that was the railroad tracks and the creek, are parallel. So it was the main transportation routes of the day. So growing up, we'd come out here and we'd play war, once in a while. We didn't know it, but we were overlooking the river pretending people were crossing it. So once it became a battlefield and you have the diorama, we figured out all these sites we've been playing on for years actually had historic significance. So it was quite exciting to figure out what all the things we discovered in our youth actually were. The river is also very special to me. And I always made my own maps of the river, kayaked it, canoed it many times. And I had the good fortune to actually produce a map many years ago with Community Commons. And we wanted to make a river trail, protect the watersheds, let people know where they were, and if they polluted, what they would be polluting. So we did that. So then I became commissioner. And Paul Dial came to me and he said, hey, Department of Natural Resources wants to make a river trail with us. And I was all for it. Fortunately, this time I didn't have to do any work. All I have to do is say yes. So it's very special to me. There's a special place in my heart today, being here, basically doing the grand opening for the battlefield and the river trail all at once. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for your support. God bless you.
Thanks, Commissioner. And I'll pause here so Channel 19 can insert all kinds of safety disclaimer language. Don't try this at home, kids. But you did touch on something that I think is the magic, particularly of the Civil War Trails program, which is we have these interesting landscapes around and stories that have been hidden in those landscapes until some kind of program comes along, some kind of tool or resource that allows us to tell those stories that have been hidden in the landscape. So that is what we are celebrating today. So now I would like to ask the chairman of the Frederick County delegation to the Maryland General Assembly, Delegate Kelly Schultz, to come forward. There we go.
And just for the record, I have never been illegally on any national park, county park, state park, and etc. And I have I've never gone exploring as extensively. But I do want to say that when I'm in Annapolis, it is very, very easy to be able to promote where we live. We live in Frederick County, and it brings me great pride when I go to Annapolis and I talk to my colleagues down there about the special place where we are. It has historical significance, absolutely, and we are going to be celebrating that this year. But we also have a rich environment and so many opportunities. And so today I want to just be able to thank those that are here. John Fiesler is rock star. And those that have the opportunity to work with him on a daily basis, I can imagine what you draw from him as far as your excitement of what we do here in Frederick County. That translates a lot to where we are in Frederick. Frederick is not the best kept secret because people know about Frederick. They know that when they come here, they can explore, they can enjoy, and they can participate in so many of the different things that we have. Obviously, downtown Frederick is great. Thank you, Mayor, for helping to provide those opportunities where you have shops and you have restaurants and you have fantastic opportunities for tourists. But we also have, and by the creation of some of the new hunting laws and expanding some of the opportunities to be able to bring people into Frederick County for many different reasons. And this year, Frederick County is going to be flooded with many first-time visitors and many people that are coming back because they really understand the richness of what we have and our ability to be able to provide a very good service for those that are coming here. I also want to thank, because, as a state legislator, we like to be able to bring people together from all different sources. And it is extremely important to be able to work with the National Park Service. It's so happy to see the state of Maryland here with DNR and with economic development and in tourism. And we talk about this as a multi-pronged approach. We have everybody working together with our county, our state, and the national resources to say we can accomplish something, and we can bring people to Frederick and highlight all of the wonderful aspects of where we are today. Leveraging those resources is what makes something like today successful, a collaboration of efforts. And so everybody that has been involved with this, I just want to thank you all very much for your support. Looking forward to going back to Annapolis, maybe, and continuing to support what we have here, because I'm proud to represent here, and I know that you should all be proud to call Frederick County your home as well. So thank you all for coming out and for your support.
Thank you, Delegate, and thank you for those kind words. But I have to say, I'm just a really lucky guy in a couple of ways, because it was actually 20 years ago this very hour that I was saying I do to my wife. So, but professionally, we are blessed, as my colleagues well know, from the edges of our rivers to the tops of our mountains, and all the great partners along the way that give us the wonderful product that we get to promote. So, just feel very fortunate. As Delegate mentioned, we are celebrating a partnership at many, many levels, including the folks at the Department of Natural Resources, who, again, make it easier for us to help our visitors find the ways to enjoy what brings so many people here, especially from the nearby metropolitan areas, the great outdoor recreation we have. So invite Lisa Gutierrez to come forward.
Well, hello everybody, and thank you so much for having me here today. I'm very proud to represent the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and I'm extremely proud to recognize all the partners that have worked in developing the water trail. It's been a long time coming, but the final product we couldn't be more happy to have and couldn't be more happy to share with all of our partners. I want to give special recognition to the Frederick County Division of Parks and Recreation. Paul Dial and his staff were just instrumental, provided excellent field assistance and technical assistance to the Maryland Department of Natural Resources as we developed the water trail. I also want to recognize the National Park Service and the City of Frederick, who during the course of the development of the water trail and identification of the access points really gave us an opportunity to highlight their specific access areas. And the National Park Service in particular here at Gambrel Mill, this is a new access site for the Monocacy River. It wasn't on the previous water trail iteration. So we're very happy to bring people to this site. I've heard a lot about folks talking about economic development and tourism and cultural and heritage tourism, but I also want to point out that the water trail, from the natural resource standpoint, our goal is to bring recognition to the beautiful natural resources that we have here in Maryland. And so ecotourism, that kind of third prong in the tourism triumvirate, is a really important opportunity. And we really like to use water trails not only as an opportunity to get people out into the outdoors, recreating, creating healthy outdoor activities, but having a water trail actually gives a really nice framework for people to enjoy outdoor recreation and give us a platform to encourage environmental stewardship. Because when people get on the river and you see how beautiful it is, and you realize, well, it would be really nice to have clean water, to be able to fish in the river, to be able to swim in the river, and to be able to enjoy lots of nice trees and sunshine and clean environment. So we're very happy to be able to be part of this, have lots of good partners. Again, I want to recognize the Office of Tourism and Economic Development, and welcome everybody to the Water Trail. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lisa. Well, we've mentioned several times the value of partnerships, and it's my pleasure now to introduce somebody who represents our most important partner day in, day out with what we do here within Frederick County. The Maryland Office of Tourism Development work with us so many different ways. Our next speaker was actually director of that Office of Tourism when we cut the ribbon on the first Civil War trails. Now she is Assistant Secretary for the Department of Business and Economic Development for the Division of Tourism, Film, and the Arts. Please welcome Hannah Byron.
Thank you, John. Okay, so I'll use this one. Good afternoon, everyone. It's really an honor for me to be here, particularly because I'm representing the Byron family. I'm married to Kimball Byron, so I feel like a Frederick Countian, and it was my late father-in-law, Congressman Byron, who got the funding to establish this park. Very, very proud of that, and I'm just sorry that he can't be here today to see the fruits of his labor. And the former Congresswoman Beverly Byron, of course, has also been very involved. They both served on the Interior Committee, and she was here for the opening in 1991 and here for the opening in 2007 for the Visitor Center. And she would have been here probably today, but she is with my niece and nephew in Germany. Having a heritage tourism experience in Germany. But it's great to bring greetings from the governor and the lieutenant governor. And I would not be a good economic development official if I didn't mention some of the great numbers that we have, particularly for our elected officials. And thank you, Kelly, for all of your work that you do for us in Annapolis. It is so important that we do have proper funding so that we're able to market all these wonderful assets, so we're able to help with the product development of these wonderful assets. And we can't do that without funding. And just very quickly, visitation, I don't know if you all know this, to Maryland increased 33% since 2007. And our share, that represents an additional 9 million visitors in 2013 versus 2007. And it was substantially greater than the 17.2% that the United States saw in the same period. And so we have done a tremendous job. I want to thank Margot Amelia, the director of the Office of Tourism Development, for all of her great work. We have a lot to be proud of. Those visitors spent $14.9 million. Billion dollars. Thank you. Thank you. Big difference. Employed more than 135,000 jobs, and there was 1.2 billion in sales taxes, sales and local taxes. So that is big business, and I know that it's big business here in Frederick. I remember when the only thing when I was dating my husband was it the Red Star or the the hot dog place, the White Star. That was it, and I was like. As I was a Baltimore girl, and I thought, what's going on here? And now I come to Frederick to shop. I think that mayor, county commissioners, everybody in Frederick has done, John and your team, a terrific job. I mean, it really is a major destination, and you're to be commended. And as far as the opening of this trail, this is the first in the collection of trails found in Virginia, Maryland, West Virginia, and North Carolina. And as John mentioned, I was tourism director and cut the ribbon back in 2001, 2002 with my good friend Mitch Bowman. Mitch, I can't believe it, 13 years later, and here we are. And so we know that our visitors, love this heritage tourism and historical experience. And so I'm just so thrilled to be able to be here today. I'm going to go actually out in one of those kayaks later with Lisa. Hopefully I won't fall out. But when I met with Mitch and my staff went down there and to learn about what Virginia was doing with the Civil War trails, it just really solidified the partnership that we've had for all of these years. And I just want to thank you, Mitch, for all of your work in helping us to develop this and develop what National Trust for the Historic Preservation has dubbed the most sustainable heritage tourism program in the nation. And couldn't do it without my great staff. Can everyone stand from Office of Tourism Development? Come on, stand up. In particular, I want to thank Ann Kyle and Marcy Ross. They have done yeoman's work on getting this done in partnership with the National Park Service, DNR, Frederick County, the Civil War, Lisa Chabot, the Civil War Trust, and all of the great work that everybody's done. So without further ado, I really want to get this party rolling and unveil our commemoration signs and maps and trails, and I think we're going to have a few folks come up and join me.
So all the speakers and other elected officials, Mayor, Walt.
All righty.
8 of you, and there are 4 signs, so I know you can figure it out.
Okay.
We're gonna try to get
So
you
we're just
all
gonna
to
turn
flip
them
at
over.
the same time.
Oh, we're going to do it at the same time?
Same time.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2,
2, 3.
3.
And we have copies in your bags for you, so you have your very own copy. Okay.
All right, great.
Excellent.
Try put them on the tripod.
Right up here.
Thank you all. The breeze may intervene, but that's okay. We'll take it. Better to have a breezy day with panels blowing over than no breeze, right? So thank you all for coming. Thanks to those that participated in our program. Those of you that support us along the way, whether you're hosting one of these markers at your site or whatever it may be. And we hope that you all have a chance to get out and enjoy these new products, the latest Civil War Trail and the new Water Trail, as well as the upcoming activities commemorating the anniversary of the battle that saved Washington. So have a great day.
Today's a very special day for me. I grew up on this property before it was a battlefield. So to recognize and have the grand opening for the actual battlefield and the Monocacy Scenic River Trail will always hold a special place in my heart. It's a treasure in Frederick County. It's something many people have not seen, and definitely many people have not seen it from the river. Until you've seen Frederick County from the river in a kayak or canoe or boat, you haven't seen Frederick County.
Well, I think it's a spectacular opportunity to recognize the historical importance of where we are during this year and all of the aspects of the 150th anniversary, and to be able to provide that opportunity and the public relations aspect of why people need to come here and to support this. We have a very historically rich county and an extremely rich environment, and we need to be able to advertise that to people, and this provides that perfect opportunity to bring more people into the county.
Oh, we're very happy to be part of this because having the Civil War Trail and the Water Trail together, you don't see that happening in a lot of places. So to be able to marry the recreational trail with the historical trail, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, we're very excited to have that trail established. It recognizes the move of the Confederates down the Shenandoah Valley and then into Washington late in the Civil War in 1864, sort of the last gambit to try to take Washington, possibly unsettle the election that was coming up that fall. So Lincoln's presidency was in question. So it's historically, it's very significant, and it's really a core story that we here at Monocacy National Battlefield tell, because the battle essentially occurred within the context of that 1864 campaign and the attack on Washington.
I think the Monocacy River Trail map is great. Once you get on the river in a boat, you can't imagine the scenery, the ecology, how much the river changes on a daily basis, before a storm, after a storm, or just in the middle of the summer. Most of the water in the summer you can wade through. If you're in the spring or fall, it's maybe 3 or 4 feet deep. So get out on the river as many times as you can, different times of the year, and I tell you, you'll have a new appreciation for nature.
I absolutely want them to use the maps. I think that it's a great resource because visitors that are coming in, when we had opened the visitor center a couple of years ago, it provides a plethora of information about the resources that are available. So actually having the map where you have individual explorers and families wanting to come out and explore everything that we have, the maps are a great way to be able to provide access to all of the different locations. I think one of the items that was mentioned is that we have wonderful National Park Service, we have county services, we have state services, but until we get that information to the general public, we are a little best kept secret. And we don't want to be a secret. We want to be able to bring this information to as many people as we can.
We definitely want to encourage the public to use the new Monocacy Scenic River Water Trail map. It's a really great resource, and it provides a lot of information, particularly where to launch, where to park, where the restrooms are, what the amenities are along the trail. And this is something that we haven't had before, and it's really critical to make the visitor experience a pleasant one, because you want people to feel comfortable and you want them to be informed. And it's hard enough kind of getting on the river and getting organized. If you know where the access points are and you have the information that's really needed for your day, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a valuable tool. So water trails, they can exist in and of themselves, but until you designate those trails, create a map, give the public the tools and information they need to use them, you're not likely to have people actually out on the river. So the benefit of creating the trail and creating the map is it gives the public the resources and information they need to plan and conduct trips. And I think one thing that people will be surprised to find is how there's a variety of types of trips that you can do. There's very short trips, there's longer trips, so that's definitely, to me, the big benefit. And for us here at the battlefield, having now one of the access points recognized on that river, I think for us it's really an opportunity to get new visitors and people who otherwise wouldn't come to the battlefield or recognize that they're in the battlefield here in the park. So we're very excited to have that map and trail established.
One of the things this board has always tried to do is collaborate with all of our partners, Frederick City, Frederick County government, which I'm a part of, the state, and the federal government. And today we've celebrated the re-grand opening of the National Battlefield, the Battle that Saved Washington, and the Scenic Monocacy River trail map. So it really brings everything together. It's something I never thought I would see in my lifetime, but you have a unique opportunity to hike the battlefield or tour it by boat. I think everyone should come out here and check it out. It's a unique experience in Frederick County, and most people here just don't really appreciate it.
I think that the most important thing about any governing body is being able to collaborate so that everybody has a shared goal and a shared mission. So when we do have the resources that come from the National Park Service, the Maryland resources, the county resources, they can all pull together and be able to create a wonderful project, a wonderful program with the shared mission, and to be able to be successful in the goal. I think for Frederick County, being able to bring extra tourists and the tourist dollars to Frederick County is an added bonus for what we do here, and it really does show how closely we can work together and the successes that we can get when we do that.
The partnership between the federal, state, and county agencies is really something that I think points to the connectivity of rivers and river systems, and the way that the water trail really crosses multiple jurisdictions. And it's a way for all of us to pool our resources and knowledge to give the public, again, a variety of opportunities to experience, whether it's a national park or a county park, or it's a state river that they're actually being transported on, Those partnerships just really broaden the appeal and the opportunity for the public to enjoy the water trail.
The partnership was the most important thing. I mean, clearly, through the whole process of the development of the water trail, to have the county be so supportive with the goals of the state. There are national goals to increase public access to waterways and to public lands in general. And so to have a willing partner like the county Parks and Rec is really important because they know this, they know their resources, and they know their parks better than anyone else. And so for me to be able to come in and bring my brand of technical assistance, and it just made it a really great partnership. The staff couldn't have been more helpful. I can't tell you how great the Parks and Rec staff are. And then with the National Park Service, they were very open. In the past, a lot of the public lands were very much focused on the land aspects. And to have the National Park Service say, yes, please highlight our water feature, and we're more than happy to provide water access from the battlefield, that was a really unique thing for us. And again, the partnerships couldn't have been better. They're really, really tremendous partners. Maryland Department of Natural Resources maintains the database of all water access in the state. We also track the development of water trails, and we provide the technical assistance to develop water trails to local governments, state government agencies, and to federal government partners. And we've got now, today, there are over 600 miles of designated water trails in the state of Maryland, and the new Monocacy Scenic River Water Trail adds approximately 42 miles to that total. There are also over close to 600, maybe we've topped 600 by now, but there are over 600 public access sites, so those are places where people can put or take a boat. They can also go fishing or swimming, so every project adds to those numbers, and it's a great thing for the general public.